What's going on, Flick Talkers? Welcome back to another movie review. Now, this time I'll be talking about M. Night Shyamalan's written and directed film, Trap, starring Josh Hartnett and Hayley Mills. But before we get into it, make sure to hit that big thumbs up to support the channel if you guys do like content like this, and consider subscribing today for more reviews like this, movie reactions, and live streams here on the channel. Alright, so once again, a non-spoiler review for the film Trap. If you guys have no clue about it, let me tell you guys a little bit about the synopsis. A father and his teen daughter attend a pop concert only to realize they've entered the center of a dark and sinister event. All right, now before we get into the pros and cons for the film Trap, let's go over this cast and if I liked them or what I thought about them just in general. Starting off with our star, pretty much the person that got me to want to watch this movie, Mr. Josh Hartnett playing Cooper. Now, he is a firefighter. He is a loving dad, and it's definitely evident in the movie that he shows that he really wants to do whatever it takes to please his daughter, even if that means being at a pop concert, which he definitely sticks out like a sore thumb. But I can only imagine that's what dads do when they have daughters. I do like that aspect about his character, though. When he starts talking to people, it's almost robotic. It's almost like an NPC. He definitely has issues talking to people. Like, it's not normal dialogue. When he's talking to other parents or he's talking to people that work at this event, he definitely does not seem like he has good social skills. But once I found out that there's a reason why he's talking like that, you find out in the third act who he is, all his back lore and everything, you kind of realize, oh man, Josh Hartnett really got into his Joker era role for this movie. All right, now Ariel Donahue playing Riley, his daughter, Cooper's daughter. We see someone who is an overzealous person, at least for this concert's sake. I mean, she's really into this artist that we'll get into in 1 second, but she's a very, very bubbly person. She's all over the place, but she has love for her dad. I mean, I know if I showed up to a concert when I was like 11, 12 years old with my parent, I would be like, oh my God, get me away from this guy or girl or whoever I'm with. She actually makes the effort, and she's a very, very good communicator when it comes to her dad. Also understanding her dad. She's always asking, Dad, is there something wrong, as the movie kind of progresses, and you kind of really get sucked into this character of a loving daughter that's actually dealing with some issues herself throughout the movie. All right, now next up, Salika Shyamalan. Now, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is the daughter of M. Night Shyamalan. Wow, I didn't even know. I really didn't even know until I put up my out-of-theater reaction and everybody was commenting that's his daughter. I thought she actually did a pretty good job, because it's not just the singing and the performing on stage, which you guys have seen in the trailer, but in the third act, she does have a lot of speaking roles, and she was all right. You could definitely tell she was trying her best. There's a lot of close-up shots to invoke a lot of emotion, which she did have. She had to. I don't want to get into spoilers, like I said, but this third act really ramps up between her and Josh Hartnett, and the emotion has to be there, and I think I felt it. For most scenes, I felt it, but it is always an interesting, but it could also be a dangerous choice if you pick someone that isn't really there acting-wise to kind of interact with our leading star, who this guy Josh Hartnett has definitely been doing films over 30 years, but she definitely sold me as someone that was a pop star. Now, I'll go over them quickly, but I don't think that they were featured in the trailer, so it might be a light spoiler, but I'm talking about Hayley Mills playing Dr. Josephine Grant. We get a little backstory with her as someone who is looking for this butcher character, and once again, she definitely seems like she's someone that fits the bill, knows what to look for, and we get a lot of her shown in the third act. Also, a cameo that blew me away was Allison Pill. Oh my God, playing the wife, Rachel. Like I had said, there's a lot of trailers that came out for this movie, guys. I don't know if she's in any of these, but I remember this actress from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. It made me feel like, God dang, how old am I? Because I felt like she was a kid in that movie, and in this movie, she is like so grown up, and there's a lot of screen time with her in the third act, and she just blew me away with her emotional performance. All right, so that's our cast, guys. Let's get into my pros, starting off with, this was a very, very unique premise, man. To get a killer or just develop this crime type of movie, I don't think I've ever really seen something like this, at least an elaborate plan to this extent, once again, to get somebody. And honestly, if you guys have seen the trailer, you guys have probably seen about 70% of the movie, but the lead up to everything. How Josh Hartnett's gonna get out of this situation is kind of what has you on the edge of your seat. There's a lot of downtime, guys. It is a slow burn, and I think this is the movie that's gonna make it or break it for some people that don't like that type of movie. It is really about building this suspenseful atmosphere, guys. You don't know which way he's gonna turn because there are cops at every single turn. So he really has to think quick in real time as this concert's going on around him, as his daughter is just kind of by herself saying, "Dad, is everything okay? Dad, where are you going?" He has to really juggle all of these questions and maneuver very carefully and skillfully to get the upper hand and be one step ahead of the police once again. Now, another pro of mine was all the music, man. I really felt like I was there at a concert, and I've been to a couple of pop concerts before, and it is very similar to like when they parked, when they entered the venue, when they got the merch, like when they finally sat down, they had opening acts, when they had artists popping up from these secret areas. Like, there is a lot of that goes on in real concerts. So I think if you guys have been to real events or a real concert, this is going to seem very real, very fluid. And I can only imagine, like, were they there during a real concert, or how did they get this many extras? It looked like about 20,000 people. And on the music note, there is a lot of music. I mean, like 6 to 8 songs she was performing, not in full, obviously pieces and stuff. It is integral to the plot once again to kind of fill the runtime and to make you seem like you're following Josh Hartnett while a real concert is going on. So I think that was very much needed to the plot. And even though I'm not a teenage girl, I felt the music was pretty good. So I don't think you guys would mind unless you guys really hate pop music. I don't know who this would turn off really, but I thought it was fine. And last but not least, I think this goes back to the casting, man. The choice of Josh Hartnett as Cooper, it was really a bold move to put someone that we know as the teen heartthrob back in the 90s, man, in the hot seat of 2024 as our killer. I mean, this guy plays a Jeffrey Dahmer kind of character. They call him the Butcher, and by the third act, at least the last 15 minutes of the movie, you really feel that. There's a lot of shots that invoke a lot of emotion that are really, really close up with each one of our subjects, and I was like, wow, M. Night is really trying to bring that tension, something that I haven't really seen from his previous films, at least not any that I can remember, and it felt very effective. And I think Josh Hartnett should not be counted out for future roles like this. He almost pushed it. He almost pushed it to Joker status in that third act once again. I thought there was a pretty crazy motivation and just kind of insane back lore once we got into that third act, like I said, for the Cooper character. I really enjoyed the ending, guys. I don't know if a lot of you guys are gonna enjoy the ending, but it's all subjective, and I actually started rooting for Cooper at one point in the movie when I know I'm not supposed to be rooting for the killer. Now let's talk about some of my cons for the film Trap. Like I had said, a lot of this felt like it was in real time, which led to a lot of pacing issues. And some of them are very, very mundane, where he's just kind of walking through the hallways, looking at some of the cops, looking at some of the exits, looking at some of the cameras. It's a lot of walking and talking to some people. But once again, it is all a slow burn to build up to something so much more. And this isn't going to be the high octane blockbuster film of the summer. I totally get that. It's kind of how I felt when I was watching The Bike Riders. I knew The Bike Riders was a well-made film, but I knew it was such a slow-paced movie that it wasn't gonna make anything at the box office. And guess what? It didn't. Also, another thing I didn't like was they made this too easy for him. They made this way too easy for Cooper to get into this area, to get into this area. When you see how many police are circling this arena, you're like, there's no way that they would let him into here without this. He stands out like a sore thumb, by the way. I think Josh Hartnett is pretty tall. Anytime they show him next to somebody, he is towering over them. And he has this really stoic look on his face, like he's just angry about something, or there's like something deep-seated down below that he has to let out. He's like a rage, he's holding the rage in, you know? Also, going back to some of the interaction that he has with some of the people that work at the venue, it was not natural speak, man. I mean, it's like, hey, what's going on? Why are there cops outside? Oh yeah, there's a guy named the Butcher, and he's crazy, man. And let me tell you, like, it did not seem fluid whatsoever. I don't think people would have normal conversations with a complete stranger, let alone some of the situations that they go along with Josh Hartnett's character. So there was a lot of unbelievable moments, but I think that third act kind of ramped up for something that was a little lackluster in the first half. So all in all, guys, I don't want to make this review too long. I had a fun time with Trap, but once again, my theater was not packed. I mean, there wasn't people gasping in the theaters at all. I think it was more of just a deep dive into the psyche of someone that was very, very troubled. And if you go into it looking for anything more, you guys are going to have a disappointing time, but there is some fun music along the way. So that being said, I think I'm going to give Trap from 2024 a solid 3 out of 5, saying you don't really need to see it in theaters necessarily, but maybe catch it on streamer when you get a chance. All right, Flix Talkers, what do you think of Trap? If you guys have seen it, let me know in the comments below. Do you guys plan to see it very soon? Let me know once again in the comments below. And if you guys did appreciate my comments and thoughts, please hit that big thumbs up to support the channel and consider subscribing today for more. All right, Flix Talkers, till next one, I'm gone. Peace.